An unbelievably absurd day in the world of Magic the Gathering. Wizards of the Coast has just revealed the brand new My Little Pony secret lair, and it's literally the craziest secret lair that's ever been created. But on the upside, it does solve the Twilight Sparkle problem that Magic's been suffering from.
Magic. I am a wizard! History. I'm an old wizard! The Magic Historian. My bones hurt.
Whoa there! Greetings! Owners of fine luxury cardboard rectangles. My friends, I hope the day finds you well because we have gathered for a very strange installment of Mega Magic News Cloppin' Edition. So, Wizards of the Coast has just shown off a crazy new secret lair. This is the Extra Life charity secret lair. It's based on My Little Ponies. It's full of absolutely insane cards, and I learned some of the backstories to them too, so you can get the full lore experience. Now that I've said that, let's go look at some crazy cards. All right, my friends, we're starting out our weird silver bordered journey with Fluttershy. Not only am I going to talk about the mechanics, but I actually researched a little bit of the lore behind the characters as well. Never thought I'd be talking about My Little Pony lore, but here we are. So, Fluttershy is 1 white, 1 green, and 1 for a 0/4 Pegasus that has both Defender and Flying. Pay 1 and tap it, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature with a tail target player controls. Stare down up to 1 target creature until end of turn. And when a creature is being stared down, it can't attack or block as long as you're looking directly at it. It does feel pretty weird to have these all kind of shoved into one ability, but as you'll see in a moment, it actually does tie into the flavor of the character, and it certainly does feel like an uncard. Caring about whether the cards have tails on them and staring directly at a card so it can't do anything, those are both very aspects. And it's interesting to note that instead of going with the little acorn to denote that these aren't tournament legal cards, Wizards has returned to using silver borders. Now, I don't know if this is going to be just for the My Little Pony stuff or we'll see more of it going forwards. I suspect these might be the last silver bordered cards we will ever see, and they're just making them silver bordered so that they go with the original My Little Pony set. I think in the future, Wizards of the Coast is going to want to have the most marketability possible for anything they make in terms of secret layers, so this will most likely be the very, very last silver bordered offering we see, unless they make more My Little Pony specifically. Because remember, we got silver bordered Transformers and then we got black bordered Transformers. So I think that the My Little Ponies is being treated as a separate entity. Now, in terms of the execution of the flavor of the card, Fluttershy is a Pegasus who's scared of heights. Can't fly when she's stressed or frightened. I like the fact that this plays into the whole defender and 0 power aspect of the character. She represents kindness. She takes care of animals and can actually speak with animals, up to the point where she ends up lecturing a dragon and staring it down with her eye ability, which is apparently something she can use on animals. She can control their minds as long as she maintains eye contact, but she doesn't feel right about doing it unless it's under the most dire of circumstances. So when you look at the overall flavor of the character and the ability, you go, okay, puts a +1/+1 counter on each creature that has a tail. That ties into the whole she takes care of creatures, right? Obviously the flavor text says, my sanctuary is the one place where critters can call home. And the staring down ties into that as well, where she's using that ability to keep the animals in line under the most dire circumstances. Take a look at the artwork, and it definitely transmits the concept of a creature that is beloved by other woodland creatures. You can see all these birds flying in. You've got what looks like a beaver. There's a couple of bunnies. Apparently, Fluttershy actually has a pet bunny. I have learned a lot about My Little Pony today, all right? So, you're gonna know what I know. You shall feel my pain. I'm gonna pony your brain. All right, next up, we've got Applejack. This is 1 white, 1 green, and 2 for a 4/4 pony. So this one doesn't have flying. Applejack's ability is Family Gathering. At the beginning of your end step, put a toy you own onto the battlefield as a 2/2 creature token with that toy's name, colors, and creature types. If the toy has wings, the token has flying. If the toy has a horn, scry 2. If it has neither, create a food token. I really like the way that this allows people who already own My Little Pony toys to straight up use them in the game and end up with flying tokens as well. If my toy has flying, so does the token. That works great. The whole horn concept as well, I like the way that's tied together, but I like the fact that they're not forcing you to go the My Little Pony route. You can use any toys you want. If you want to bring in, oh, I don't know, let's say you got a big Kirby plushie like I do, you can bring in Kirby and he creates a food token. I gotta say, that feels super appropriate for Kirby. Now, in terms of what Applejack is, Applejack represents honesty. Applejack is a tomboy, so doesn't really care for the girly things in life, puts other needs before her own. She is a carryover from the original show, actually. Most of the My Little Ponies weren't able to use the original names because Hasbro didn't go to the lengths of keeping the trademarks for the different ponies' names. So a bunch of them are inspired by original My Little Ponies, but can't really be the full embodiment. Applejack is an exclusion to that and is absolutely essentially just a homage to the original, right? Now, the idea behind Applejack here in terms of the concept with Family Gathering ties in to the Apple family reunion, where a bunch of family members are going to be getting together, and Applejack gets way too caught up in all the planning for the event, and ultimately through the course of the episode ends up learning that what's really important isn't worrying about all these different aspects of the get-together. What's important is family itself, caring for other people and connecting with them. And then ultimately the family gets together to rebuild the destroyed barn. So in terms of that concept right here, the Family Gathering, at the beginning of your end step, you can put a toy into play, and you can do that every turn. So that is the family slowly getting together. The flavor text says, believing in something can help you do amazing things. So this pony talks in like a southern drawl, right? Like kind of like a Southern Belle, but a tomboy version. Taking a look at the artwork, you can see it's got a heavy apple theme there. You've got the ponies gathered around. Now, I don't know enough about Applejack to know if these are family members, but I presume they are. You can see the barn in the background there, and you're being offered a little slice of pie. It's a fun, inviting little piece of artwork, and overall, from what I know of the character, it feels like it fits. Wizards of the Coast seems to have put effort into trying to make this all match up. Now, let's move on to Pinkie Pie, the most absurd My Little Pony that there is. 1 white, 1 red for a 2/2 legendary pony. Whenever you cast a spell with a smile in its art, create a tapped treasure token. I love this concept. I love the idea of having a bunch of spells where you could be like, yo, this is a smile, but it's just like a vicious, wicked smile on some evil creature, but Pinkie Pie is all like, oh yeah, that's great. Here, have some treasure. I love your smile. And it's like, I only smile when things die. As long as you're smiling, that's good with me. It's so much fun. And then you've got every pony's invited. Your party consists of each creature you control, and your party is always full. Now, when I first read that, I went, wait, what is this? Wait, what are they talking about? And then it clicked in my head. I'm like, yo, this is the D&D party mechanic they're talking about. Every creature you have on board counts as part of a party. And there are a bunch of cards that they made that say if you have a full party, which normally is, what is it? There's warrior, thief, cleric, and wizard, the traditional D&D party. So if you have all 4 of those, you're considered to have a full party and you get extra benefits. But with Pinkie Pie, anything that cares about a full party is automatically turned on. On top of that, anything that gives bonuses to party members will now affect all of your creatures, and it really does do a great job of making it feel like everybody's invited to a party, right? Flavored text says, hey, you know what this calls for? A party. Now, Pinkie Pie, whose full name is Pinkamena Diane Pie, I know it, you need to know it, all right? She represents laughter. She's a friendly baker, and she actually has a toothless pet gator named Gummy. She does all the wacky things in the show, and apparently at one point had an ability that was based on Sugar Rush, where if she gets hopped up on sugar, she crashes through walls and doors and all that. Now, while Pinkie Pie has a good heart, she's ultimately kind of waved away by the other ponies and written off, not taken very seriously, but she is somebody who welcomes everyone. And on top of that, she is the one pony that actually is somewhat aware that they're in a show or something along those lines, because this character does break the fourth wall. When you take a look at the artwork, you can see the big goofy grin. There's something about the eyes that do feel a little bit maniacal as well. Like she's just a little bit crazy. This gigantic confetti cannon, it's like, hey, everybody's smiling, let's have a party, fire it off. This card has a massive festive vibe. And since I haven't brought it up yet, I do want to draw your attention to the legendary border on these cards as well, because they each have a unique distinctive property to them. You may not have noticed that Fluttershy had butterflies up there, but Pinkie Pie has these little celebratory balloons or lights, depending on how you want to look at it, because it could be either or, but it definitely gives in that festive vibe. And it's a nice little additional touch to the card. Now, the next thing we're going to talk about is Rainbow Dash. This is one of the more leader style, I think, ponies. I'm not 100% sure if Rainbow Dash is a leader per se, but I'll tell you what I know about him. Or her, I should say. These are all lady ponies. One white, one red, and one for a 2-2. Oh, they call them fillies. This is a filly, right? Or is that just for kids? I don't know, whatever. They all look young. I'm going to call her a filly, and I'm going to fill you in. So, 2-2, flying and haste. Whenever a creature you control with flying and or haste attacks, you get 20% cooler. So if you attacked with 3 flying creatures, you would get 20%, 20%, 20%, so 60% coolness. You start at 0% coolness. This is a hilarious unfeeling mechanic as well. Everything from these cards has a pretty unfeeling to it. So you've got Sonic Rainboom, tap. If you're at least 100% cool, add 1 of each color mana, draw a card, and reset your coolness meter. There's just something about it. Building up the coolness and then going off. I mean, yo, this is a solid tap ability. Getting 5 mana and drawing a card just for tapping is really strong, especially off the back of a 2-2, like a 2-2 flying with haste for this casting cost. We got cards like this in the past with no other abilities. And you just have this slapped on where, yo, just by putting her out and swinging with it, you're already 1/5 of the way to activating that ability. Now, in terms of the flavor behind this card, basically Rainbow Dash is the one who's in charge of maintaining the weather for pony. It's crazy. Hey, I make pies. Yeah, I'm Applejack. And oh, hey, check it out. I do all this silly stuff. And then Rainbow Dash is like, yeah, I literally control the weather. That is like God tier power right there, right? So Rainbow Dash represents loyalty. Rainbow Dash loves speed, loves winning, likes to brag, likes things that are cool or radical, wears the cool guy shades, all of that, right? I like the fact that the Sonic Rainboom is basically the build-up to controlling the weather. Like, that is a really epic ability. And the artwork here, I like the way this is done. It's shown Rainbow Dash blasting off, like at super speed. If you take a look, basically you've got the Rainbow Dash here up at the front, but then you've got the trailing rainbow that is going down behind her, leading all the way to the ground, where you can see where she leapt up into the air And there's just this basically like a sonic boom that's happening, radiating light outwards. So overall, it's got a great sense of energy and speed. And the way that her eyes are focused, there's just this determination of, yo, I'm the coolest, I'm gonna race the hardest. So it seems like they put the proper flavor together for this. Now, as an added bonus now, my friends, from the previous set of My Little Pony cards they make, Princess Twilight Sparkle, her ability was essentially not usable before. If you take a look at Princess Twilight Sparkle, she's a blue and a white for a 2/2. She's got flying. She gives alicorns, horses, pegasi, ponies, and unicorns you control +1/+1. So she's a lord for all your ponies. But her other ability is pay one of every color. If you control Applejack, Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash, and Rarity, every pony wins the game. So you'll notice that the 4 names that are in there are the 4 names that we just saw in this video. Rarity was actually released with Twilight Sparkle. So if you have her, you already have Rarity. But by getting this secret layer, you now have the ability to actually meet the conditions. And as a fun side note, there are multiple ways you can meet the conditions. You don't automatically have to get out all 4 cards from this secret lair, because you can use the ability of turning toys into creatures through Applejack. And if you play the actual My Little Ponies, who are Fluttershy, Pinkie Pie, and Rainbow Dash with the plastic horses, then all of a sudden the game makes them into tokens that have their name. So you will still meet the conditions for this. So you can do it with magic cards or your My Little Ponies, which I think is a fun little touch. Overall, I think this is a pretty sweet secret lair. It hits the right notes of flavor for people in terms of if you like My Little Ponies. It brings some interesting abilities to the table for people who don't care about the ponies but just get excited about new magic cards. I would absolutely slap multiple of these cards directly into my cube, and I now want this secret lair. The fact that it's a charity secret lair that's designed to help kids makes it an even better option, right? So they're selling it basically $40 American for the regular version, $50 for the foil. And as far as I'm concerned, this product gets a thumbs up, seems fun, they put in the effort, and like I said, it's helping kids, so it's a win in my books. Thanks for coming by, my friends. If you enjoy hearing the flavor breakdown about cards, I literally just did a story over on my Magic Lore channel where we broke down the story of Johann the Magical Apprentice. There's a bunch of cards in Wilds of Eldraine that tell his story. So if you want to know how that turned out, I'll leave a link here at the end for that. And if you'd like to see some old school Magic gameplay, I will leave a link to my stream archive where I've been playing a ton of Magic for the last week. Anyhow, big shout out to my patrons. Thanks very much for supporting my channel, and I will see you all, my friends, in the next video.